Hey there, classmates. This week we have some reading to do. Successful educational institutions in the future will, out of necessity, integrate the worlds of education, work, and leisure with leading-edge electronic technologies as they become available. The new model for educational activity will be that which is delivered by the institutions and acquired by the students in an anytime, anyplace, on-demand fashion. The educational institution of the future, at the post-secondary level at least, will not be a campus we drive through and view the ivy-covered halls of wisdom, but it will be a learning experience we participate in while we drive along the highway, relax at home, work at our desk, fly to distant locations, collaborate with fellow learners, and accomplish all the other tasks required of us to be productive, useful, and educated citizens of the world. It will always be at our fingertips, or at least no more than a click away. One of the major challenges of this new at our fingertips learning environment is how to assess learner achievement in an online course in which learner and instructor seldom or never see each other in face-to-face contact. The assessment must be authentic, as defined by Wiggins, Bridges, and others, and must be effective in that it measures learning, engages the learner, is integrated into the learning process, and promotes further learning. The assessment paradigm developed as a result of the study will be a step forward. And this was written in 2003 by an author of the last name Drummond. So just real quick, some thoughts on that. It's definitely a provocative statement. It's true that any web search you're going to see that online education is certainly picking up steam and continues to grow for higher education. Currently, post-secondary students, the vast majority of them take at least one online course, and it's even more popular. The online platform is even more popular in the graduate level. However, the demographic has largely remained the same for those that take only online courses. That demographic being non-traditional students that are seeking higher education options. With that being said, I believe personally we'll see a plateau of that growth eventually. I think it's a hard sell to say that we'll ever see the paradigm of face-to-face education truly completely go away. It will always be around. But nonetheless, there are some very exciting things that are happening in the online arena. So in terms of talking about assessment, an authentic assessment at that, there's plenty of new things that are happening in the world, and online education has made those things possible. But we're gonna just talk about three of those things, and that's gonna be adaptive testing, learning analytics, and e-portfolios. I thought what might be kind of interesting to do is, just like this article came from 2003, I found this published book, Online Assessment Measurements and Evaluation, Emerging Practices by David Williams, that was published in 2006. And he's kind of looking forward from that 2006 vantage point and saying, here are the things that I think are going to be relevant in online education in the future. And he has some interesting things to say that truly have become relevant. He also says some things that haven't really become relevant. One of those being is he really felt that this post and vote style of online education, this assessment platform was really going to take off, and we just simply haven't seen that. If that's a foreign statement to you, it's just evidence that that didn't really take off. But the other assessments that we're going to talk about today were mentioned. One of those assessment styles that David Williams pointed towards saying this is the future is adaptive testing. Now, Greg Thompson for the British Journal of Education wrote about adaptive testing and explored some of the inherent benefits that come with it. If you could think of this testing as a test that molds to the learner as you go through the test. So if you could find a way of just giving one question at a time and be able to really see how a student knows a subject through Bloom's, adaptive testing would be the best way to do that, because you're not giving all those questions up front, which may compromise some of the lower level Bloom's questions. If I can look down the test and look at some of the, maybe like an essay question, and there's something in the essay question that gives a nod towards the answer of that lower Bloom's question, it compromises the question. But if I can give one question at a time, and then depending on how the student answers that question, I can develop a test that points them down a different direction. So that way we can really get an understanding of how well the student knows the information. That is a unique thing that online learning assessments can provide that your traditional assessments just fall short of. One of the drawbacks of adaptive testing is really at the heart of it, and that's that mentality of, we're going to test for absolutely everything. We're going to do interim, we're going to do summative. Every single month we're going to get them on the computer and take a test. We're going to collect all this great data. To always do this type of testing is really kind of death by testing for students, and you're not leaving it. The potential exists to not leave a lot of room for your curriculum. E-portfolios is another type of assessment that David Williams pointed at, saying this could definitely be the future of assessment. This is a type of authentic assessment that's been around for a long time. It existed in a paper form. As technology advanced, the window of opportunity started to open, where people started to see, hey, we could do something and have students create a portfolio. But unfortunately at the time, the people didn't have the technology knowledge, and building an e-portfolio was actually a hindrance to just getting an honest assessment. Now that our society's digital literacy has really increased, having students build an e-portfolio no longer has the same stress as it did in the past. E-portfolios have been proven to be effective in higher education, especially for teacher education programs, nursing programs, and even dentist programs, where they use the e-portfolio to keep track of skills and knowledge of the student. Even though our society's digital literacy has greatly improved, there's always going to be a balance with the e-portfolio between purely just assessing the knowledge and the skill of the content matter, and then also trying to infuse some skills and some understanding for building a digital portfolio. Learn this whole other system to be able to create something to house all their skills and knowledge. The last topic that we'll talk about today is learning analytics. Now, this is less of an assessment in and of itself, but a means of creating the assessment. The defining notion of an authentic assessment is one where the assessment itself drives the curriculum, not the curriculum driving to the assessment. David Williams had some interesting things to say in his 2006 publication in Projecting to the Future. He says, as each student interacts with the software program, his or her knowledge state is continually assessed in order to customize the instructional inputs. Imagine further, if you do not mind a wildly speculative leap, an online learning environment available in this same classroom via subscription, in which the construction of instructional inputs suggested by the ongoing assessment of the student's knowledge state is achieved by automated searches of public domain websites. David Williams really isn't that far off. Learning analytics is really the cutting edge that exists in online learning right now. This actually infiltrates our lives in a bunch of different ways. Analytics are used to customize the ads that you experience on social media sites like Facebook. Let's say that you look at a new Toyota pickup truck. I think all of us have experienced, after doing that, going to a social media site, and it just so happens that all the ads are now directed towards that Toyota pickup truck. This is done through analytics. What Learning Analytics would do in online education is collect the user's web searches and then begin to tailor the content of the education. This is a new technology, so it's still being theorized how to best utilize it in education, but it's definitely going to be making an impact in the near future. I am personally a believer in the ePortfolio. I believe that it has the greatest potential of showing a holistic picture of a student's literacy in any subject. If a ePortfolio could be created that looks just like a website and the tabs on the menu represent the standards for that subject, each page that's clicked on can demonstrate the student's knowledge and ability in that subject. I actually use this with my band students. All my band students create digital portfolios, and we house them in a master site for our music program. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I look forward to watching yours.